wanted to speak about Rabbi Eliyahu Dweck HaCohen. Happens to be his Hilula here on the 23rd of Tishrei. Naturally, this will be in 2 days' time because it's be after the festival of Sukkot. He was born actually in English year 1721, and he passed away in the year 1791. So it would have been about 70 years of age at the time the great rabbi had passed away. Now, he actually came from great rabbinic auspices. I believe his father was Chacham Nisim Dweck HaCohen. We've spoken about various rabbis from the Dweck HaCohen rabbinic dynasty in of itself already here inside that series, so it's no surprise that here we are again, and recommend everyone to look over the previous videos that we recorded connected to them. And seemingly it was probably around the year 1721. He was born in Halab, in Aleppo, in Syria, respectively, over there. And he would start learning Torah under the auspices of his father, great Mukubal. He happened to be a Kabbalist, Rabbi Nisim Dweck HaCohen. And I think also his uncle, he would actually learn under another great rabbi, Rabbi Shmuel Dweck HaCohen. Another rabbi, I believe we've mentioned about him on several occasions before here inside this series. So that's very, very interesting. I recommend everyone to, once again, to look over at the famous rabbis that we've spoken about here of yesteryear. He was a rabbi of the city of Halab, also Rabbi Shmuel, I believe was. And his grandfather, I think from the side of his mother, was Rabbi Shmuel Pinto, which was very, very great rabbi. Remember, we've spoken about many rabbis from the famous rabbinic dynasty of the Pinto family. So he was on all sides, had prominence, and gone to learn Torah and brilliance of Gadal b'Torah v'yira al birkei chachmei Aram Tzava, who really grow and be imbued in the Torah through the great rabbis of that specific vicinity. He would become a darshan also. This would be a rabbi giving over grandiose sermons, and a posek rendering different Jewish laws over there. And come the year around probably in the mid 1780s, probably around 1785, his book, I think in Bekושטא in Turkey, would actually get released. His book, I think, was called Bרכת Eliyahu. This would, let's say, contain Drashot, various different sermons, within which would be printed also eventually. I'll say what it says here in Hebrew: Drashot b'shet alot hadvasa, natal halvaot merubot. Lo kol sifru hudvos. I think he had many, many different books. They wouldn't all be printed, and I think some of them would maybe be left over till after he passed away, if I'm not mistaken. I think afterwards the totality of the book will actually get be printed or be completed, let's just say, or put together. And I think it will come out in the year 1793. So I believe he passed away in 1791. So 2 years afterwards, it will get printed, and that will be in Livorno, in Italy. I remember we spoke about on various occasions before that Livorno had a famous printing press of years. So we've spoken that on many occasions before. He'd have various different shuvot. I think it would actually be brought about inside the sefer called the Machane Yehuda, which was very much connected to another great rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda ben Yom Tov Katzin, a rabbi also we've spoken about on various occasions before. Now this would be also printed in Livorno. This would be a modest, maybe around 12 years after he had passed away. That's something that we have to also point out respectively. So that's very, very important. So Yehuda ben Yom Tov Katzin. So he was also a great rabbi who we've spoken about before. If I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Yehuda was born actually in the year 1708 and passed away in 1783. Also, once again, he was a great Chalabi rabbi. He happened to have been head of Jewish court, I think, of that will be the head there respectively. And he was actually a Talmud himself of Rabbi Yosef Abadi, another great rabbi we've spoken about before on various occasions before. I think Rabbi Yehuda Katzin would actually even go on to visit Israel, which wasn't that common at that point in time, especially in Jerusalem and Tzfat. I think for as many as 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So very, very interesting. And obviously lived that time period of Rabbi Yitzchak Atiyah and various other great rabbis that also we have to point out, which is very, very interesting. And so his book will get printed in 1803. That will be, I think Rabbi Eliyahu Dweck HaCohen passed away on the 23rd of Tishrei in English year 1791. Now I think he was buried in Aleppo, in Halab respectively also. So that is very, very interesting. And let's explore a few of the highlights from the famous rabbi's book, because we mentioned about several of the books we did, and already on this series we've already spoken about possibly as many as about with at least 40, probably, I would assume, rabbis that actually came from Syria at one window of time, which is very, very important, I think, to also state out here on onset as we are growing as a community. So we're going to explore a few of the teachings of his from his Torah books, and we'll start off over here just with a nice teaching where it says, "Melamed shebach talmidei chachamim sheoskim b'binyahu shel olam." Just important to the great Torah scholars, how they're building up the world. This, I think, comes from page number 40 from the Bרכת Eliyahu, actually concentrated on Parshat Naso, if I'm not mistaken. Another teaching, which comes from the Bרכת Eliyahu from Parshat V'zot HaBracha, which happens to be this week's tomorrow's Torah portion, which we're reading on Simchat Torah. It says, "Melamed shemachzik sacharo mushlam, af em hacham lomed shelo lishma." That's another teaching. Another teaching of Bרכת Eliyahu, this time from Parshat Naso in the book of Bamidbar, respectively. "Melamed she'im yesh shalom ve'echad lomed Torah, nireh ki'ilu lamdu kulam." The importance of learning Torah within regards to, and if there's peace, let's just say in of itself, the greatness and the imbuement that it's got. Another teaching. "Melamed she'ali dei hashira b'simcha nimchalim avonot." How important is to sing in a very joyous state. It states, this comes from the Bרכת Eliyahu, I believe from Parshat Nitzavim, I think on page number 78 over there. So that's something else that we should point out. Another teaching. This is another important teaching, I think, coming from Parshat Emor on page number 28, which is also another important, let's just say, insight also to state within regards to that. So that's very important. And now another teaching, friends. "Melamed she'ein le'adam shum nechama b'yisuro ela mish'anto b'torah." How important is that? This actually comes from number page 62. I think Amud Bet in the Bרכת Eliyahu also, respectively. So he was a very famous rabbi of his time. It'll be interesting to see a family tree within regards to the family, I think, because I think that would be very significant to see who came from who, because the Dweck HaCohen family itself was a very famous Chalvi family, and it would be interesting to know how they were related, were they related, all of them. There must have been family connections with them, and how they all became so great. I think his book, the Bרכת Eliyahu, if I'm not mistaken, is actually featured in the famous, I think, Israel National Library also. That's something else that we have to point out over here. And yeah, that's very, very interesting. So important. I think there's a feature over there in National Library. I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was printed in Istanbul, in Turkey. The book was in itself. I think it would be concentrating on Bereshit, on Shemot, within regards to until Parshat Tetzaveh, if I'm not mistaken. But I think afterwards, more Parshot will actually be featured, maybe inside another edition. I'm not too sure, but I'm not. I have to double check on that. Featured Drashot on the Torah itself, on the 4 books of Moses, and I think it's available on the National Israel Library website, which is very, very important to know. And yeah, that's very, very interesting. I mean, I definitely recommend people to learn more with regards to that. So yeah, that's very interesting. He was a great rabbi of his time. And I'd recommend everyone that if you can find out more information on him and more of the great Syrian rabbis, it will definitely be a brilliant resource also with regards to that. So, friends, we are a community here. We're learning about famous rabbis and chachamim that actually came from yesteryear. Now, if you descend from any of the great chachamim we are speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information on the great rabbis of yesteryear. And if you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos to other people also, respectively, help the channel grow. Now, at the moment, we also aren't just recording videos on great rabbis of yesteryear. We are also recording videos with great inspirational personalities here of modern year at the moment here on this channel, which is very, very interesting. We are recording videos with great Jewish personalities who, let's just say, really, really imbue Torah in of itself. We are recording videos on Jewish current events that's actually taking place. It's the project we're working on. We do a daily Daf Yomi tidbit, so a burst of wisdom from the Talmud, which we see as a very, very important integral part of this channel also, which is I recommend everyone to actually watch every single day and grow and learn more with regards to that also. Also on this channel, we do tours all over Israel. We try and explore the biblical parts of Israel. What were the biblical places? What was inspirational places in themselves? We try and see the archaeology. We do short clips also on various different, let's just say, importances respectively, which I recommend everyone to watch. And also concentrating, learning about the famous yeshivot of Yesir Talmudic academies, what went on in various different countries, especially in the Ottoman countries, in the Oriental countries, Asian countries, even Ethiopia we're trying to look at, Ethiopian vicinities, and so on and so forth, many, many other places. So we are really growing at the moment. So please, everyone, subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 7,500 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. Enjoy, friends, all the Torah and enjoyment. It's the last day of Sukkot, it happens to be at the moment. So make the most of it. Sit in the Sukkah. Tonight is Hoshana Rabbah, tomorrow is. So please go, if you can, pray inside the synagogue. And Be'ez Hashem, we're going to see blessings here from Israel and from all over the world. Take care and have a great day.